Sports handicapping. Professional handicappers make predictions on games all the time. How good are they? Moderated by Steve McAllister, the Parleh Media Group, with Harley Redlick, Sharp Edge Picks, and Kelly B. Kellner, Enteractive Media.
Morning, everybody. My background's a journalist, so I want to, we'll start by riffing off a little bit of news yesterday, even though it's doubling down a little bit. Jason Robbins came out yesterday, made the comment again about higher hold and fewer sharps, and that might be a bit of a sore point with this panel. So let's start there, and Harley Redlick, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I've never seen a quote like this in any other business. This is a retail business, and I can't imagine anybody else telling their future customer base, we want you really stupid, we want to rape and pillage you, and if you don't qualify, forget about the product. If this is a retail product and that's their approach, good luck to them long term.
Don?
Well, it doesn't really surprise me, though, because I don't think I've ever met a book that says we really want you to be smart and beat us for all of our money. So I think he's just saying, quite honestly, what a lot of the executives would be thinking and saying behind closed doors. He just unfortunately came out and said it so that the bettors could hear him.
Yep. Kelly?
I agree. There's nothing worse than getting shut down in the sports book when you finally go on a little streak. It's very cyclical. You get on a good run, and all of a sudden, boom, you're capped down to $20 on a game after getting your ass handed to you for a long period of time. So to be able to have the control and the mechanism over the sharp players, I think that's a comment that offends me as a client and as a customer, and I think it's got to be a level playing field.
Harley, anything else you want to add there?
Yeah, $20 sounds good, and some of the shops have me at $2.
Yeah.
And I'd say Pinnacle and Circa will welcome winners, and hopefully more of the books spend a little bit of money on sharp traders instead of marketing ads on TV to pillage, and we'd have a better, more sustainable industry.
Let's move on then. I want to get back to basics for a few minutes here, and Don, maybe we'll start with you. And just what defines a successful handicapper?
I'd say somebody who wins money would be probably, if you want to get down to the basics. I mean, that's the goal, right? We talk about percentages, the break-evens, the 53%, all of that, which is nice, but if you're making 5 bets a month and you're hitting at 53%, 56%, let's say, for success, that's all great, but it's in terms of volume. So at the end of it, it's the amount of money you make, as simple as that.
Right. Kelly?
Well, I think in terms of handicappers and services where clients are paying for sports information, paying for wagers, I think having documented results. One thing that we built on the Game Changers platform was we play what we say. Our subscription service, you get to see my bets every day. You get to get a video why, as opposed to some of the services. The old days, the old 1-900 numbers, the old call-ins where they'd put out they give out half the side to one half of the group, half of the game to the other. So then day 2, they've got half the guys are winners that are on their list. They then split up another game, say, sorry, we lost yesterday, aberration, we're going to give you another winner. They split it up, and it's just, there's got to be integrity and transparency when you're in the handicapping business and justification. It's a tough sport. NHL betting sports, betting hockey is one of the toughest. That's why a lot of the Vegas handicappers don't really touch it. That's why it's kind of a fun area to get into. But again, results matter, documented, and transparency, I think, is the key to having successful longevity in the business.
Right. Harley?
10 plus years of grinding it out, making 25 to 100,000 plus a year and relying on it as your income.
I want to get back to Kelly and start with you, just again on kind of the perils of paying for information. As you mentioned, 25 years ago there were the 1-900 numbers all over the place. If you were watching TV at 3 o'clock in the morning trying to get the baby back to bed, you were bombarded with those commercials. Maybe you can just talk a bit for the audience here just about the perils of paying for information, and also where you can get access to that information today in a social media world.
Well, that's the interesting thing. So the old days was the old call rooms, the phone rooms, the degenerate kind of down and dirty boys that are there, and they are the hard sell, hard grinding guys. I hired a couple of them. I Joe D'Amico from Las Vegas for a while. You know, that intensity. Although, you know, certain guys have had success. Again, watching the documented results and being able to track these guys that are putting out, hey, so $500, I got the lock of the year. There's no such thing as a lock of the year. There's great statistical reasons. There's just, after betting for many, many years, we've got over 125 years of sports betting experience in our handicapping team. We've seen it all. So fading, NBA and NHL, road teams back to back. You fade the road team playing 2 nights in a row. There's a number of things statistically and mathematically that give you a little bit of a better edge. In the NHL, the worst team in the league is still going to win 31% of the game. So how do you figure out that plus 200, plus 250? You've got to look for additional information, and paying for information from people that have been doing this for a long time. There is value, but there's a lot of them out there that are just the churn them and burn them, and you can get a lot of great information for free, a lot of free picks, a lot of you just got to follow people, again, that are documented, successful, and have some integrity in the business.
Right. Don?
Well, I'm a little different because I don't sell picks. I would never consider, it's just not my thing. I play. I enjoy playing. It's a game to me. It's also a living to me, so I am different in that way. But the margins in sports betting are extremely small. So if you're relying on paying for picks, you can be cutting yourself so thin that you have really virtually no chance of making money at it. That's just what I find. It's difficult to find reputable sources that, again, there's just a lot of information out there that just flat out isn't that good. But, like Harley and I were talking earlier, it's a grind. Like, playing sports, because the margins are so small, it is an absolute grind. If you're hitting at 60%, that's way too high of a percentage. That means to me you're not making enough plays. You're not playing enough marginal picks because you can't make a living betting 20 games a month. You have to be doing that. You have to do the churn. You have to, for me, I niche down. I pick my spots. I play MLB first 5. The NHL, I play the first 60 days of the season. NFL, I play very specific trends and teams. So that's how I do it. Paying for information for me doesn't make sense, but that's a personal choice.
There's no locks. I mean, if you're value betting, which is the only way you're going to make any money, what you're basically doing is betting a team like the Rangers tonight because you think they're going to win 42% of the time, not 38% of the time, plus 150. So anybody who tells you they got a lock in the game is full of shit. And I mean, in the long term, you're just going to track your results. It takes hundreds and hundreds of bets and a grind. And I mean, the pay-for-pick system to me is a sucker's game.
I think there is some great strategies, though, when it comes to betting. A lot of things that we like to teach and engage with in our social media platforms and our subscription service. Say you've got the Dodgers minus a run and a half. They're up 6-0. Actually, a great example was on Sunday. I play round robins. I'll take 5 games. I'll play all 10 3-team combinations and 1 5-team parlay. So if I go 3 out of 5 with a little bit of plus money, I'm breaking even. I can hit 3 out of 5, 55 to 60% of the time. When you go 4 and 5 out of 5, you're making big money. But it helps me fade variance. The situation on Sunday, though, I had 4 winners going into the Angels-Philadelphia game. Angels lost 10 in a row. They're up 5-0 in the bottom of the 4th. So you can offset, you can lock in profit by betting the over live in game.
Yeah, but Kelly, why are you betting parlays to then offset it and pay juice twice? If you're betting an uncorrelated parlay, you're giving up value, and then you're laying off a bet that's winning and giving up value. See, to me, you're not making money long term.
Well, betting the over live in game, the game ended up 8-6, so we won the insurance bet twice, and we've locked in profit.
Okay, after the fact betting to me doesn't do it.
I mean, you have to know, okay, so we're sitting up here as professionals. I specifically have been making my living doing this. Harley did it for a long time. You're doing it as well, so and selling your picks in addition. You have to know your own temperament, I think, first of all. A lot of people can't do this. Like a lot of people, I would say 95% of the people who think they could bet sports for a living are fooling themselves.
99.9.
99.9. It probably is that high because you are relying on something that is extremely variable over which you have zero control. And to be able to kind of have the temperament for that is not for everyone. So if that works for you, splitting your wagers and you're making money, that's cool. Harley, you don't agree with that? That's cool. There is no one right way to approach betting. At the end of the day, if you've made money, you've done all right.
As we all know, we're in a place, in a city, in a province where we now have a very competitive market. I mean, as professional handicappers, how do you take advantage of this open market we have, or do you at all? And maybe start with you, Kelly.
Well, I think it's important to take advantage of all of the incentives, the bonuses, deposit bonuses, and max that out. We tell our customers, you want to have 6, 7, 8 different sports betting accounts for a couple of reasons. Number one, if you're running and hitting them pretty good, you don't want to get your limits capped. You want to be able to spread that risk. There was an NFL game, I think week 8, I forget who it was now, but the line between different books was +3.5, 3, and -3.5. So you could, and the game actually fell 3. So you always want to be shopping for the best value, get the offers, get the deals. Certain sports books are better in certain sports, and so you need to always be managing. It comes down to mathematics a lot of times, and every time where you can get an edge and you can get a better line. The last Tampa Bay game from 3 different sports books I had, it was -1.5 +188 to as high as +225. So that makes a big difference when you're looking at that big a difference in the odds, and you just got to shop your rates. But having accounts all over the place is the best strategy, and spread your risk so that you're not going to get pegged as a sharp if you're winning and shut down.
100%. I mean, BetStamp, BetStods, all of those guys do that, and you can bonus shop and Linehorn. I mean, there's 15 books I think they put on the screen. Forget about 7 or 8. If you have enough time and e-transfers and you have enough patience to keep on taking pictures of yourself with your license to submit, you might as well do all 15 and max the bonuses and get caught off one after another as you're winning.
Yeah, I mean, to understand the climate here, you have to understand that we went from just being able to bet through the OLG, right, to play the parlays, to all of a sudden having all these options, unless if you were playing offshore, which many of us were. You're playing into Pinnacle or Bet365, or you know, it was the gray market, but we took advantage of it, and that was okay for a time until you get cut off, until you're doing so well that they limit you, and they will. But now there's this plethora of options, so yes, as people who are positioned to take advantage of that, why wouldn't you? Like, you have to spread as much as possible to take advantage of what's offered. Even
going last trip to Vegas a couple of weeks ago, I'm getting bombarded as soon as I land, the amount of incentives and you know, 1,500 here, 1,100 you know, bet secured on your first wager, and that you can actually go in, and if you're traveling a lot on other business, you know, you jump into Michigan, you jump into New Jersey, the amount of incentives you can have from different operators, and that's the one thing that we like to do is we try and like to be a travel agent of showing our viewers and our media platforms where's the best deal, where's the best deposit bonus, where's the best line, and give people value that way. I think is important for what we're doing.
The same way during the poker boom where there were 21-year-old kids that were going state to state as they were opening up and hitting the books. I'd like to think that there's a bunch of sharp college kids doing the same things now in the U.S. where they're going from Jersey to Michigan to Kansas as legalization happens, registering, setting up shop, collecting the bonuses, and then moving on. It's for sure going on.
Yeah, I want to wrap up on this one. And again, we've seen a lot of blowback. It's a lightning rod issue around the integration or the attempt to integrate betting content in the broadcast. And we've certainly seen it during the Stanley Cup playoffs and watching NFL games last season. And I'd like to go across the panel and get your thoughts on how networks should approach integrating that content. And Harley, I'll start with you on that.
The networks in Canada, I think, have taken the worst approach. It's a chicken shit, dip your toe in the water approach that satisfies exactly zero people's interest. If you like sports betting, hearing a 3-second superficial line because some ex-hockey player tells you Colorado's good and then they put the point spread or the money line on the game does 0. But at the same time, if you're the religious right or you're with your kids and you don't want to hear about sports betting, it's offensive. So I don't understand why TSN's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 all showing hockey, why they wouldn't do a dual broadcast One dedicated to bettors with betting and pushing the betting, and the ads are from FanDuel and PointsBet. And then the one that's not geared towards betting, pushing people to buy cars and drinking sugary sodas or whatever else kind of advertising goes on. And I think you'd service both markets way better than they're currently being serviced. And then the second thing I would have is get handicappers to talk about sports. Betting sports is about betting numbers. I don't need an ex-hockey player telling me Colorado's going to win because they're the better team. I think we all know Colorado had more talent than Edmonton. But is the price right at minus 240, or should you only be laying 210 on them?
Well, I got to take shots at my team, my Port Oilers. So before I became a professional sports bettor, I was actually a paid horse racing analyst for the better part of my life. Come from out west, started at Northlands Park, made my way out here, have done multiple national broadcasts, and basically was getting a salary for providing information to bettors about who I thought was a good bet in the horse racing world. Now that I've gone on my own, I find that I'm much more critical of people who actually try to do this for a living on television or on radio or wherever they happen to be in podcasts. I don't know if that just comes with the territory or what it is, but yeah, there's definitely a dearth of information that's usable in the industry. But at the same time, I think we have to remember that there are a lot of purists who wish that sports gambling wasn't infiltrating their beloved sports. They don't want to sit there and hear commercials every 2 seconds. They find it odd that somebody is talking on air, an analyst, about sports numbers and betting numbers. So it's such a not dicey, but it's just such a gray area where some people hate it, some people want better information. I think that as we traverse this trail, things will shake out and you'll get the information where you need it to be. I do think it needs to be better. I agree, I don't want to hear the ex-athlete telling me who to bet because it's probably not good information.
Last few hockey games on Sportsnet on CBC, these 3-team player prop in-game parlays, laying minus 200 as part of a 3-team parlay. I'm offended by it. I remember actually a few months ago watching the conference NCAA tournaments prior to March Madness, and I'm watching CBS, and you got the boys there with their little felt markers and their whiteboard and their little patches. Kansas minus 18.5. If you're laying big points, you're going to lose. One of the strategies we have, I have one of our handicappers, he only in college football and college basketball only takes points and money line on dogs. And if you bet favorites, you're going to lose. And the public loves that. That's why the lines makers and the odd makers do that. If you've got a university, if you've got Duke that's got an alumni base 50 times the size of Fordham, that line is going to shift because of public interest in betting on the team that you like. You've got to find those spots. The other thing to look at too is with college basketball, where you've got 70, 80 games on a Saturday. The lines makers aren't always right. So the networks need to find people that have experience, years experience, and again, documented results showing that they can actually give value information using the math. As Harley says, it's about numbers. There's some great strategies. Taking points is a great way in sports to win money. We do that all the time, and looking for value propositions when the lines are off.
100%, but these guys, these ex-hockey players are never going to track their results.
Yeah.
It's easier to say Colorado's going to win because we expect them to win. If Edmonton upsets them, they put up their hands and say, who could imagine that happened? And they just move on.
I cashed the sweep by Colorado, though. That was our...
Good for you. I got the Rangers going. I got a huge ticket on them to win the Cup, so we'll see what happens.
Just on the same topic, because we have a few minutes left, do you see anybody out there who's doing a good job with it in terms of that content, either in Canada or south of the border or elsewhere? Harley, any thoughts on that? Don?
Well, I mean, it's not... It's a different platform, but one that I think has been utilized very successfully, and it's somebody that a lot of people don't necessarily like, but it's Dave Portnoy and Barstool Sports, and now Penn Gaming. They did a platform, they were all about content, so they conquered social media, they garnered a huge following, a huge audience, long before the idea of becoming a sports book entered into the picture. They would do broadcasts on YouTube and on Twitter that engaged with literally millions of people. And then, of course, when the sportsbook was introduced, they had that hardcore, almost cult following ready to jump in with them. They are guys who bet. They document their betting. They are real in the game guys, and they have a loyal following. Like I said, it's almost a cult.
Yeah, I agree with that. When you're posting your bet, when they're streaming, that guy hits a buzzer beater for a 3 that you win by the hook, and you've just won 20 times on that bet. That's real and that's authentic. And I think that builds loyalty, and that's what we try and do in our media platforms. Is we play what we say. We post our picks and we post our actual bets every day in our subscription service.
I can't remember the exact story, but somebody just got screwed by Penn Gaming and could prove it on video, and Portnoy was called out. And Portnoy's response was, tell him to fuck off. So I mean, with all due respect, he's become a hack. He was authentic, and he sold out like we all would for that type of money. We probably all sell out for a tenth of what Portnoy sold out for. But the problem is, eventually it becomes inauthentic because he's reporting to a board in gaming, and he knew a customer got screwed out of money, and his response was a sophisticated version of the corporate crap.
Which is true to brand, unfortunately.
Well,
right? It's true to brand. He's not being any different by doing that than he has all these years. So yeah, eventually it will catch up to you because it's a different platform now.
If you're talking podcast, though, there's a podcast called The Risk of Ruin that's all sharp sports bettors. Like anything else, they made their money, they exploited a loophole in the system. They didn't say a word to anybody while they were doing it, but once the loophole got closed, they kind of come on this show and explain, and you can reverse engineer how some sharp sports bettors are thinking about exploiting systems.
I lied. I have one more question. Let's go start with Kelly and go across the row. Just one piece of advice you would give to a novice sports bettor.
Well, I think information is power, and looking at the mathematics of situations. Do not bet emotional. We had one of our guys. We put out 5 plays. We went 5-0 that one day. But the guy loved the Winnipeg Jets, and he's in Winnipeg. He was going to the game. He had to bet the Jets, and he lost. He becomes a losing bettor because of the emotional side of it. Have a strategy. Follow people. I've done it myself. I've been doing it for 35 years, where I follow people that I trust, that have integrity, that I've watched, and you've got to start by doing a little bit of research and coming up with a good strategy. Again, betting favorites, betting 9-10 team parlays for $10 to win $1 million. Listen, it's fun. It's fun to look at, but having good, solid strategies that are based on mathematics, algorithm, and fading variance, risk management. Like I say, there's some great strategies where you can lock in profit. I love when you're playing the puck lines or playing the run lines, and you're getting into the 3rd period or the 6th inning, and you can bet the over as that insurance bet. Like that is, I've hit that so many times, and it just feels great. Where I know that in game, look at that Angels Phillies game. They're up 5-0, and they end up a 3-1 walk-off by Philly in the bottom of the 9th and lose. So, you've got to, how many times does that happen in the 9th inning? Walk-off grand slam and that. So you've got to be smart, strategic, and look at how you can insure your investment.
Oh, advice for a novice. Niche down. Don't try to be an expert at everything. Don't be a fan. Right? You can't be a fan of a team. You have to play. It's numbers. You're playing numbers. You can no longer say I'm, a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. You have to look at the numbers, and that's how you bet. That's what I learned doing horse racing. That's why I'm successful doing sports, because I used to walk into Woodbine all the time. People would say, "What horse do you really like today?" And I said, "What are my odds?" Because it's parimutuel wagering. So if you can't tell me the horse is 3-1, he's a good bet. At 5-2, he stinks. So very important to know what value is. And build your bankroll. Don't rely on betting to pay the bills, because if that's the mindset you're taking in, it's a very, very fragile way to play the game, and scared money, honestly, never wins.
Your chances of making a living doing this are about as good as the chances your kid's going to play in the NHL. So you're going to end up doing this for fun. So I would give you the exact opposite advice as them. Bet $5 a game on every game you want to watch on TV for fun. Bet way, way, way less and make sure you can afford to lose. Cheer for the games. It's great entertainment, and enjoy.
Right.
Bankroll management is absolutely key.
And DraftKings would like that advice. Bet for fun. Don't try to be a pro.
Right. Thanks very much to the panel, and enjoy the rest of the summit.